Welcome again, everybody, to the panel. I'm so excited. It's always great to see other people up here because my whole goal in life is to help other people build profitable businesses. I actually get excited when other people make money. I'm like, oh, yes, money. This is great. This is awesome. So I am so excited to be inviting, once again, Adeola and Faith to join. I will be asking each of you to introduce yourself briefly, but I just wanted to say that I'm so excited to have them both here because they are both currently working, they're currently in the Planners Who Profit Accelerator, and they both joined less than 2 months ago. And so everything we're going to be talking about today happened within 2 months, which is beyond exciting, right? To see that type of growth in your business. And there, even when you're starting in different places and all of that is what I'm like super thrilled to talk about. So we're going to go down just in the order I see it on my screen. And I want to, ask you guys some questions. So for starters, Adeola, how are you? And would you mind introducing yourself, where you live, and the name of your business?
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Adiola. I live in Newark, New Jersey. The name of my business is Wizbar Events, WSBER, basically. What else? Yeah, so I live in New Jersey. Name of my business is Wizbar. I joined PWP last month, actually. And oh my God, that's all I can say.
Okay, and we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. But it's always great to have you here. I used to live in Newark, by the way, when I was a tot. We left there when I was 9. But yes, I'm very familiar with Newark, New Jersey. So great to have you here on the panel. We also have Faith, who lives somewhere else. So please introduce yourself, your name, where you live, and the name of your business.
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Faith Belian. I am located in the Twin Cities, so, Minneapolis area. And the name of my business is This Love Weddings.
Awesome. Okay, so the reason I've invited them to speak is because they are both great planners. Everyone on the line here, we all know what we're doing. We're all event planners. We love planning weddings and events, but they've also gone on this journey of really building their businesses. They were already building their businesses, but really like just working on specific areas of their business, which I wanted to talk about today. Now, for starters, we are, the whole theme of what we talked about today was about pricing, right? Pricing your wedding planning packages. And a lot of people find it challenging to price adequately, right? Because obviously being a wedding planner or an event planner of any type takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. So a lot of times people are like, oh, if I really charge what I really wanted to charge, no one would buy, or you have doubts about it, right? Like I had the same doubts when I was switching from engineering, right, which pays a certain amount, into event planning. And I was like, I don't know, like, am I ever going to make a living from this? So I guess my question for you guys are, what are some has this, like, how long was this a struggle for you, if it ever was, right? Pricing your services for what you really believed it was worth. And also, what kind of mindset shifts did you make in order to be more confident in charging more for your services?
So I would say for me, first of all, before I met Faye, I've been planning since 2017 officially. And I always had this doubt or this aha moment, like Faye was saying earlier today, about, oh my God, if I tell someone that I'm going to charge $4,000 for an event, they're going to look at me like I'm crazy. So it was the lack of confidence, and even though I know what I was talking about, it was not believing that I deserve to be paid that much. And that was a struggle for me for a long time. But since I joined PWP, it's the mindset sweep that I've had is believing in what I sell to the client. Because if you don't believe in it, then there's no way you can sell it. So it's the confidence that I have gotten since May to tell a client, this is what I'm going to be offering you. This is what I am charging for what I'm going to be offering you, and being able to actually communicate that. So for me, that's the mindset switch that I've had.
Right. No, that's awesome. And if you don't mind sharing, like so that was a mindset shift that came in May. And I know you had a virtual event in April, right before you joined as well, and then also the program and everything. So that mindset shift came. And then were you able to sell packages like between May and now? I mean, May was just last month. Have you been able to sell packages at that higher price point?
Do you want us to go there? Because the answer is greatly yes. I have sold, since I joined in May, I have sold 3 full packages at 200% more than what I would normally have sold. I have sold 4 partial packages, again at $200, 200% more than what I would have sold. So yes, I have sold packages with the mindset switch, and yeah.
It gets real. It gets real really fast. And I know for some of you guys who are watching, you're probably like, is this real? And I know that I actually had this conversation with Idela when she attended the last virtual conference where someone else was sharing their testimonials. And she was like, can this actually be real? Like, can you actually make that many sales in such a short period of time? But the truth is that there are a couple of things at play here, right? Number one, when you show up for yourself and you do the work, right, to show up the right way, you will attract the right people. You will. The second thing that's at work, which I've been if you've been following me on social media, I've been talking about this since the pandemic hit. There is a surge of people who are looking for skilled wedding planners. Previously, people were just like, oh, I just need a person there, or whatever. But now people actually really understand that event planning is very complex. So people are willing to invest in someone as long as you can show them that you are competent, you are skilled, and you can give them the things that they want and the things that they need. So those two things colliding together, that's what's happening right now. It's continuing right now, right, in our industry. And that's why now's the time to really step up your business, right? And really like not be left behind, but really like be part of this and really claim your stake in the ground. So thank you so much, Idela. We've got so much more to dissect about that. But I want to switch really quick to Faith. So hi, Faith.
Hello, hello.
So similar question. Have you ever struggled with charging what you believed your service was worth? And if so, what kind of mindset shifts did you make in order to start charging what you believe your services were?
Yes. So I'm in the Midwest. So as far as like when it comes to the rates and just the cost of weddings, they're much lower than the West Coast and the East Coast. But I've been in the industry for over 12 years now. So I felt like I'm able to demand the pricing that I thought I should be receiving. Mm-hmm. And at the time, it was difficult for me to do that. Regardless of how people sung my praises, the reviews they gave me, the amount of work we did on the day of, kind of, busting our butt. When I did a rebrand and everything like that, it was still difficult for me to, share my value with potential clients. So it was a struggle. Since being in a program, I had a whole mindset change as far as like sharing my value, what I offer to clients, how I'm able to just kind of show my worth, show my value, the offerings I can provide, not having to second guess that or my worth. So that was a big deal for me. And just also around sales, there was a point where I just kind of felt like sales was icky or that like it was this thing that is just automated and it goes a particular direction, a particular system into doing it. And I'm like, okay, there has to be a code to kind of crack all of this. But like changing my mindset around that and what that looks like for me in my business, and knowing like ways that, the sales process does not have to be like robotic. It is a way to educate your potential clients on what value, what you can offer for them. So it's just been amazing to kind of have this mindset change as far as like how I can come across to my clients and how I speak, being more confident, not second guessing myself compared to when my prices were a little lower, even though I know that I'm worth it. It's just kind of like second guessing myself. So this experience has been amazing. I booked my highest price ever. So yeah, so it's been amazing, and just since joining. I joined before the last live event. So, kind of made a quick kind of fast action thing to make sure that I got a lot of the information that you were sharing. And because of that, I made over $14,000 in sales and rising since joining. So it's been amazing.
Yep. And I mean, for me, I'm like, every time I hear that, I'm like, yeah. So Faith is very humble. But the one thing I'll say about Faith is that she's very good at what she does. Like, and that's the thing. Like, that's why I love this program. Like the ladies who join the program, for those of you who don't know, that's why I keep saying apply, because you kind of have to be accepted. But the ladies who join the program, like, you are talented, like, you know what you're doing and all of that. And like just meeting Faith, and obviously, to be honest, Faith's prices when she joined the program were not cheap to start with. So Faith was not in the hundreds or even in the low thousands when she joined the program, as far as what she was charging for her highest offering. But even then she was able to level up, right? So like all of us are in different places, and the things that it's always about like growing and choosing to grow, and also choosing to understand what the thing is about you that makes you different, right? So Faith, we've talked a lot about what makes you different, right? I asked you guys that question so many times today, and there's a reason, right? Me and Faith have had this discussion a million times about what makes you different, because when you're in a small town city where everybody's trying to get married for $25,000 total, and your package is definitely if your package is over 5,000, but hers is even, when it's above that, it's like you really need to know what makes you different. Like the higher you climb, the higher you need to be able to differentiate. And so we've had this discussion. Faith is a master designer. She does things in the Midwest that you really only see on the East Coast and West Coast, right? So it's like about digging into that and pulling that out. Something else that stood out to me with Faith, which I talk about very commonly with people who apply to the program and everything, is a lot of times people are like, oh, I'm in the middle of a rebrand, so I don't really need this. My rebrand is going to fix my business. And I am not against rebranding. It is so important. Web designers, shout out to you. Like, it's great, but a rebrand is not going to fix your business. That's the truth. If you don't know the words, if you don't know the right way to appeal to your clients, you don't understand what they need, you don't understand how to communicate value to them in a way that they will understand, a rebrand is not going to help you. It's going to just make it pretty, but the same.
I will actually have to piggyback on you on that, because I have a marketing background. So for me, I thought positioning was really important, and to do that was a rebrand. I communicated myself in my copy, but the last piece that I was missing was, once they reach out to you, is that same experience that they're seeing on your website? Is that what they're seeing when they're talking to you? Do they feel the same way? Do they feel as confident when they're reaching out to you about their day, and what does that look like for them? So
exactly. So there's multiple pieces to it. So and everybody's in different places. Like I said, Faith was already kind of, in a certain place when she came to this program. So there's multiple elements of it. There's the marketing, there's your copy, your branding, and then there's also your follow-up and sales. Your sales is multiple pieces, but definitely how you follow people in email, sales calls, closing things, how you send your proposals, all those things. So there's multiple layers of it, and you need all of it. I find that a lot of times people focus only on the pretty because, we're the Instagram generation. I get it, but it needs to be a little deeper than that. Like Faith said, marketing background, so she kind of already had a lot of the copy. She had certain things, so it was really more the sales. And then I think maybe a little bit of like, SEO tied in there, plus focusing on the sales for Faith is what we focused on. And that's, that's again, for one of the things I love about this program, there's so many aspects to it. So when you join, we sit down one-on-one and we talk about where you are and what you need to do to get to the next place, and what you need to focus on, right? So with Faith, it was kind of skipping over maybe a couple things and focusing on some specific things to get to the right place for her. For everybody, it's different, but I just wanted to get to the point of, it's more than just putting out things that are pretty. You have to get deeper. You literally have to know who your target audience is, and how to speak to them in a way that converts, both on your social media and website and when you're actually talking to them, right? So those are some things that got me really excited. So, okay, so we talked about some mindset shifts. That was really good. And I think we talked about a whole bunch of other things, but that's really good. So did you ever feel that your market, maybe your target market, or your niche, right? Maybe your target market, let's say where you live, right? Or your niche, meaning like your specialty. Like I said, my specialty is multicultural weddings. Have you ever felt like they don't value planning enough to pay what you wanted to charge?
I'll speak to this. Yes, especially in the Midwest. I just was like, there's no way people don't value a planner. And then also, this is something that we touched on in our individual call, but I had to have like a come to Jesus moment. I had to have a moment where I had to like face the fact that I've seen planners being flown into Minnesota for certain weddings that I easily could have done here. And also as far as like the resources that we have here that probably didn't need to be outsourced. And also realizing that there are planners here that do premium weddings that I'm sitting next to. So the idea of, okay, people aren't paying for it, is a mindset shift. They're just currently not paying you for it. And there's obviously ways around that. But I had to come to that moment of realizing, okay, what do I need to do to ensure that I am the one that they, connect with and talk to for their event. So that was really important. That was another one of the reasons why I joined Fayye's program.
Yeah. No, I mean, that was definitely like, I had a whole moment, not with you, but someone else that I connected with. I don't know if I connected with her one-on-one on Clubhouse. I was just listening to a Clubhouse room. I haven't been on Clubhouse in months, y'all. I need to get back on there, but yeah, I've been reclaiming my time. But one time I was listening to a Clubhouse room and there was a lady and she was in Connecticut and was saying how, she struggles to get her target client because no one in her area, in her target market, which would be, African-American, Black, multicultural, not necessarily multicultural, but Black, people of color in Connecticut, they don't value planning. And I was like, well, I actually happen to have been flown to Connecticut around literally one town over from what you're talking about to produce an event, a wedding for someone, right? And this is not like someone who was my friend or even someone who was referred to me. This is someone who found me on the internet, right? And so what that means is that when she went looking on the internet, she found me and she didn't find you. So it's not so much that they don't exist. It's about the combination of being findable and also presenting yourself as the right solution for the client who is willing to spend that much money, right? Which goes back to your messaging and your branding. So, I mean, that's just the truth. I was like, that was the case with her. For me with Faith, I was like, you're already at like, and I know once it's hard sometimes to make multiple jumps, right? You're like, oh, I already made this jump to this level. Am I really gonna reach for this? Am I really gonna reach for more? So I think that's hard for everybody. It's hard for all of us. It's natural. There's a whole book about it, okay, called The Big Leap. That's all about getting to the next level. It's always challenging to step up to the next level, and there's always going to be questions in your mind. But thankfully, I'm so glad that we got to connect and we kind of got to push you to that next level. And you're pretty much almost at like the target of where you're trying to be. And I think we've already had that discussion that at this point, I mean, you're pretty much there to continue pushing, at this level. So, because all of us have different goals, right? Some of us, our goal, I showed the whole goal of selling a wedding planning pack for 5,000. For some of us, that's our goal. For some of us, that's scary. For some of us, that's a lot. And that's okay, right? For some of us, the goal is, I'm trying to sell $10,000 packages, right? Like within the next 18 months, I want to be able to do that, or within the next year. That's doable. It is, depending on where you are now and how much you're willing to put into your business. There's a difference between working on your business and working on your clients, right? How much you're willing to put into your business. It's possible. Like there's always new levels. There are people out here charging $20,000, $15,000 for wedding planning, believe it or not, right? And the right people find them. So it's always about being findable. It's always about that level up. So I loved that about Faith. It's just about like, she's kind of in that second or third step of the level up. And it's amazing, and it's amazing to watch. It's amazing to be part of, and that she's doing the work. So if anyone is on here and you're like trying to make that second or third step to level up, like let's do it together. But yeah, like you can do it. You can do it, right? I've literally seen people quit the wedding industry saying like, oh, no one's going to spend more than $4,000 on what I have to sell. And that's not entirely true. it's not, that's not entirely true, but you do have to show up differently to get that person, right? And it, so that's that thing. And I've heard that. Oh, sorry, before I even get into that, I'm going to ask Nadela the second question. Have you ever felt that people in your target market, whatever that means, whether it's people who are in New Jersey or people who are in the segment of the market, your niche that you service, have you ever felt like they wouldn't value planning enough to pay?
So to piggyback back on what Faith said, it's a mindset thing. Before, I think when I joined the program, our first meeting, I had explained to you how I had relied so much on word of mouth. And when I plan an event for a family or friend, and they tell the person, oh, she planned for me for free. Mm-hmm. So then when somebody comes and I tell them, this is what I want to charge, they're like, oh, but this person says so and so and so. And I think that kind of like limited me to believe nobody would pay for my services. So it was a mindset thing. But when I joined the program, I was able to see that my client is not normally in my circle. So when you're looking at your circle to buy from you, then they might not be able to afford you. You need to be ready to look outside your circle. And that's one of the things that I learned. And I think it was one of the classes that I attended, how to advertise on Instagram. I had all these beautiful videos on my phone that I wasn't sharing. And I watched one on Faye's video about how to post a reel. And I posted the reel, and within 1 hour, I had over 1,000 views. And from that reel alone, I got people reach out to me like, oh my goodness, even people that knew me. Oh, I didn't know you planned weddings. I'm like, duh. So I think it's putting yourself in a circle and expecting those people to buy from you. Yep. So they're necessarily 95% of the people that have bought from me since I joined PWB, they're not even people that I know. Mm-hmm. And they're willing to pay my package. Mm-hmm. So many times, trust me, it's not people in your circle. You need to look outside.
Yep. Yep. That was a whole word. Kenitra says in the comments, that was a whole world. My circle isn't necessarily my clientele. It's true. You can't limit yourself to just the people who are around you, right? I mean, I think one of the most popular sayings, whether you're Christian or not, I mean, even Jesus wasn't necessarily, recognized or respected in his own hometown, right? Most of his ministry was outside of it, right? Because people are like, oh, yeah, that's Joseph's baby. We know him, he wasn't the savior. So how much more so us regular people, right? Sometimes you have to get out there and show up differently, right? Which is why, like I said, today I've kind of showed you guys more about the pricing and all that, but you also have to show up differently, because when you show up differently, everybody's going to see you different. Like, including the people that don't know you are going to be like, oh, she seems really good. And people who do know you are going to be like, whoa, I didn't know you did this. Like, I mean, I knew you did it, but I didn't know you did it for real. And you're just looking at them like, okay. And if you waited for that person to recognize you as good enough, you would never get there. Or you take forever to get there because you're waiting on this random person who doesn't know your talent, doesn't recognize your gifts, to justify you before you justify yourself. It can't work that way. It can't work that way. And that's why it's so important for you to always surround yourself with people who see in you, right, who you really are, see your talents, and see you for who you can be. That's not to say cut people off for not supporting you, right? This isn't about cutting people out of your life, but it's just about understanding what role everybody plays. Some people are just there to be your friend, and that's it, right? And then other people are the clients that you the clients, and you build your business with them. Then later on, your friends will come back. I've actually, in a month, I'm planning my friend's wedding. I'm actually also going to be a bridesmaid, so I won't be coordinating that day. But she hired me, and she told me from the jump. She was just like, oh, I'm looking into your service, and I'm looking at other people. And I said, okay, either way, I'm gonna be there on your wedding day, but whatever. And then she came back and was like, I compared you to everybody else, and you're the best. And I was like, cool, let's get started, And she paid me, and I personally have a family and friends discount, which I offer to my family and friends. I don't let anybody demand anything of me, but I offer it. So I gave her the family and friends discount, but even before I even mentioned it, she was already ready to hire me, right? So, and she asked me to be her bridesmaid after she had already paid. So it wasn't even like, oh, let me ask you to be my bridesmaid to try to see if, no, she didn't ask me until after she had already paid, signed the contract and all that good stuff. So people recognize what you do based off of your work. And honestly, like, I'm from New Jersey. We're a little gangster in Jersey. Like, we tell the truth, okay? Nobody lying to you. Even my cousins have told me, I'm planning one of my cousins' weddings later this year. And him and his sister, they both were just like, yeah, we wasn't gonna hire you if you weren't good. Like, they'll tell you, like, I'm not hiring you if you're not good. So the reason they're coming to me is because of what they've seen me do with strangers. So you have to stop thinking that your inner circle is who you're going to use to build your business. It's not. Now, for those events that you happen to do for free, make sure you get pictures, make sure people know that you planned it, make sure you get the exchange for anything that you may have done for free in the past should be publicity. So you should get images from it, definitely testimonials, get those sorts of things that you can use to build and get justification so that people who just find you on the internet can, justify, right? Like I keep saying people found me on the internet, but I mean, let's be real. Like the people I serve are career women. They're very smart. They're not going to hire me if they think I'm a scam artist and I'm not going to do a good job. So they're looking for things. They're looking for evidence in the images that I have in my reviews and all that stuff. So make sure you're gathering that from those events that you did for $250, for $500, for free. Make sure you have those and use it to build and move forward. But you don't have, just because you did it in the past doesn't mean you have to keep doing it moving forward. So I think that Idela, like literally, you're the person who went from being like the town's best kept secret to like breaking out and being like, okay, no, this is what I do for real. It's a real business. Like, give me my coins. And that's what makes me excited about it. Yeah. I love it. Everybody's smiling, but yeah, it's real. So I love it. Love it. Okay, so I think I have another question. So what did you have to change about your business in order to attract more clients who could afford your rate? So what do you think you had to change in your business to attract more people who could, afford your rate?
I will go here. I think for me, and kind of touched on it already, but sales, just changing that whole sales process. Outside of that, onboarding, execution on the wedding day and everything like that tends to be smooth, but my bottleneck was sales, and I was able to make those changes and make that transformation using the program.
That's awesome. Would you say, so even outside of the program, maybe if there are other things, what would you say you had to do to attract people who can afford it? Or is there anything you can do to attract people who can afford your rate?
I will say SEO, which is also something you highlight in the program, because my new website was on Showit, which I love. So it's really easy. Well, Showit itself isn't easy. Oh. Not as much, but as far as SEO, when it compares to a lot of the other programs or the other platforms, Showit is really good with SEO. So that was getting better. However, implementing a lot of the tips that you give about SEO got me to the first page in my state. And so that helped to reach out to the, to be in front of couples who aren't local or who are looking for a planner who helps with multicultural weddings, looking for a planner who helps with long distance weddings. So that was the biggest thing, looking for a planner who does premium to luxury style weddings. So yeah. I would say my SEO was a big one. Obviously, Instagram too.
Sorry, just to pause for the sake of clarity. So when you say you're on the first page, you're saying you're on the first page of Google for.
Oh, sorry.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
First page of Google, no matter who's doing the search.
Yeah, you got to use that incognito to make sure. Yes. But yeah, so you searching yourself in incognito or asking other people to search in your area for your niche in the Twin Cities area, you're on the first page. So which means that anybody who's searching online looking for a multicultural planner or wedding planner is going to find you. They're going to see you because generally people skim the first page, maybe the second page. So that's major. Definitely making it onto that page. So obviously it was working for you before, but then it was just a little extra boost that you got, you know, in the program just to get a little higher, which is amazing. And you also touched on something else, which we haven't said yet. Sorry, because I know you're going to get something else. Please hold the thought. Don't forget it. But you touched on people traveling in from out of state, right, to plan events. That's so key for people who feel like you're in a small town and the average cost of wedding here is so low, whatever. Someone could have grown up in the Twin Cities and be like, you know what, I'm getting out of here. I'm moving to New York City. I'm gonna get this big bad job, whatever. Now they're an executive in New York City, making 200K a year. They met somebody else who's doing the same thing, but they want to go home to the Twin Cities and have the wedding of the year.
You just did my niche. You just did my market right there.
Yeah, like these are the people that you're going after. Like, so when people are like, oh, the average cost of a wedding, I don't want to say it's not a factor. It's a factor in the sense that you need to know that you are above the average. But it doesn't mean that there's no one above that average, because that scenario that we're talking about happens all the time. I don't know how many times I've planned weddings for people in cities that they don't live in, maybe because they used to be there or whatever the case is. So you're not always limited by what people there make on average, because first of all, there are people who make more. And then also there are people who travel in to get married there. So, I mean, boom. I'm sorry. I just wanted to share for anyone who might feel like, oh, well, I'm in a small town and they work for Faith. I don't know if it's going to work for me. That's just breaking it down how this happens, right? So, Faith, sorry.
Well, if it works for me, it can work for anyone. Because I felt like I was doing the work, but I feel like I now have the tools to do the work that matters. Not to say none of it mattered, but ones that was tailored to me. I felt like I was able to create a strategy that helped with my particular pain points. And so I'm grateful for that. So,
that's awesome.
But outside of that, I was sharing, Instagram is a big one too now, social media in general, but having just kind of like you shared about, you know, couples and brides not wanting to be scammed or anything like that. So they will check your website. They will check your Instagram social media account. They'll check those reviews. Then they'll reach out and just to make sure that all of that connects. And so it was important for me that everything connects. And so now I feel really confident that it all aligns together.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's amazing. I think that to the earlier point, and I don't want anybody to misunderstand what I was saying earlier about branding, but the combination of strong branding and good sales and good marketing, like literally it's killer. Like that is what you need to close. So obviously Faith joined, I would say either right after or during the tail end of branding. I think it may have still been in progress or had just finished, and then focusing on the sales, and then marketing was kind of already a little bit underway by the time she joined. And then now we have this, you know, we kind of have all of this running. And if you want to understand, if you're like, what is the difference between sales and marketing and all of that, make sure you apply for the VIP training. Visit plannersforprofit.com. I'm going to put it in the chat again. Make sure you apply because I explain it in depth so that you understand. It is a free training, okay? But I just want to see you there. So please make sure that you apply and join us there. So that is awesome. Child, we got so deep, I even forgot the question. So I can ask Adela too. Oh yeah, right, Adela. So what did you change in your business in order to attract more clients who could afford your rate, right? And I mean, this is a big question for you. No pressure. But you literally just said that you were relying on referrals, right? And these were referrals for people who were expecting $0 to maybe $500. So what exactly did you do to all of a sudden start charging, mid to kind of highish 4 figures for your wedding planning packages? Like something obviously changed.
So the first thing that changed for me was my confidence level. And again, this is not to blow Faye's trumpet, but our first meeting together, I told her how, I don't know if you remember the conversation, but I told you how I don't believe that I deserve it. And even though I have been planning event for a long time, but I don't think people should pay me for it. So it was the first thing that changed after I joined PWP was my confidence level. It was, girl, you do the work, you deserve the money. So that was the first thing that changed for me, being able to say, this is what I'm going to do and this is what I'm charging for it. And then another thing that changed for me was putting myself out there. My marketing level, before I would plan an event, not take pictures or not post them on social media. So I changed my marketing level. I started to advertise on IG and Google, and that like put me out there. That was the second thing that changed. And I think the third thing that changed was actually paying attention. I think the first week I joined PWP, I told Faye that the kind of time that I'm investing in my business in 1 week, I hadn't invested it in 4 years since I established the company. So it was investing in time in knowing how to grow my business, knowing how to put myself out there so people can find me or I can find my ideal client. I found Honeybook. I found IO Planner, like all these things that I did not even know existed. I found them, put myself out there, and yeah. And then my sales level changed as well. Again, by watching a lot of videos on PWP, knowing what to say to a client, how to say it. Before, I used to think when I use big, big words that has to do with weddings, people would think, oh, she knows what she's saying. But I learned that saying jargons doesn't make people buy from you. You're just confusing them. Like you have to break it down. Not everybody understands terminologies for wedding planning. So if you're trying to say, oh, I can design your sweetheart table, some people don't even know what that is. You need to tell them what is a sweetheart table. So those were the things that I had to learn and change to be able to book. Yeah, my first $5,000 client. And I was excited because yeah, it was going from zero to nothing, or $500 to booking $5,000 in 1 month. So it was crazy and mind blowing. So that was what changed.
Yeah, no, that was really good. I think we were all excited for you when you share. We have weekly chat, and we talk about where we're at and what our wins are. We were all excited. The first week we were excited. The first week I realized like, oh, I booked a new client, full planning client, blah, blah. We're all like, oh, yay, that's so exciting, right? Then the next week comes and I realized like, I booked 3 more clients. And we were like, wait a minute, something we need to know. That's why Faith put in the chat. We still need to know the prayer. You know how everybody was asking Sierra, what prayer did she pray to get Russell Wilson? We were all just like, Idea, like you just drop it in the Facebook group. Just take your time, write it out. Tell us what you have been talking to God about, okay? And we'll go from there. And then the next week, she's like, well, I booked 2 more clients this week. And then the next is like, I booked another, and we're just like, ma'am, we're still waiting on the prayer. We're still waiting on the prayer, by the way. This is exclusive to those in the program. It will be shared in the Facebook group. I'll make sure Idea types it up for us because we need it. But like literally, guys, like when, like that is the transformation that I want to see. I just had to exceed the transformation that I wanted to see. But of course, that makes me happy as well. And so that's the whole goal. When we show up differently, things change. And like I said, this is a combination of showing up differently and the fact that like people right now are like, you know what? I'm not trying to get that $1,000 planner. I'm trying to get somebody who is good, who's going to help me. Because with the pandemic, people have gotten busier. People barely have time for anything. And people have realized how complex wedding planning can be. So it's just like with that combination, like if you show up the right way, you will literally grab up all the business. And if you don't, it's very easy for you to kind of fall behind, right? Because it's like during the pandemic, everybody was telling 2 different stories, right? For me, I would listen to people saying, oh, you got to pivot. And what people meant by pivot was do something completely outside of the wedding industry in order to survive. And I was like, I don't know if I'm not sure I'm really with this. If you're really passionate about what you do, I think we just need to wait it out. And this, of course, comes from money management where hopefully you haven't spent everything. So you have a little bit to, coast on until things come back. But you don't quit wedding planning and do something else because the pandemic hit. And then for me, I'm like, well, I hear what other people are saying, but I'm still booking clients, right? And I'm still raising my rates, right? And then I had a month, I think it was last year, it was before I even joined this program, I posted on Instagram, I was like, I booked $20,000 in sales this month. Meanwhile, most other educators that I know in the wedding industry are basically screaming SOS. Like, it can't be both. What's really happening is that people are looking for a skilled talent. And if you cannot show up in a way to help people see that you are that skilled talent, you're not going to get the business. That's what's happening right now. It was, dare I say, it was never the case that no one was booking. People slowed down, right? And those people who slowed down and were just waiting for the Rona to leave, those are the ones who are hitting us with a wave right now of all the bookings. But it's not like people just vanished. It's not like people just stopped falling in love. That's not really what happened, right? So for me, I'm very cautious about, there's a scripture in the Bible that says, when others say there's a casting down, you'll say there's a rising up. Like, I'm really cautious about what are we going to do about it? I'm not going to sit around and complain about it. I'm not going to sit around and mope. There are ways to grow, even in our industry, which was hit very hard, obviously, by COVID, right? There was money I was expecting to make in 2020, which had to wait to 2021 because we had to postpone the wedding, but it wasn't lost, right? I think out of all my clients, only one canceled, right? And it was a client it was a coordination client. So it was, it wasn't a huge hit, but even if, like, the way you manage your money, the way you do all these things will help you to coast through that, right? And plan ahead and forecast and all those things. Like, that is, I don't know. I just don't believe I never believed, even while we were in the pandemic, y'all could go look for receipts on my Instagram page. I was never that person who was like, oh, give up on wedding planning and just start making clothes or start making masks. Like, forget about wedding planning, start making masks so you can make money through the pandemic. That was never the answer. And especially today, it's not, because right now we're actually having the reverse problem. It's a surge of people like hitting us hard. And actually, if I remember correctly, Faith wrote an article recently, or was featured on a television station recently to talk about that. Yeah.
Yes, I was featured in our KARE 11. And yeah, so it was a feature about the pandemic, now that venues are basically being booked up, and what does that look like for us now, and the importance of, hiring vendors and venues and giving out tips. And I felt prepared to even be on that on that news station because of the confidence and the mindset shift from this
yeah. No, I love it. I love it. And we talked about it. We talked about, ways you could even leverage that kind of press, moving forward. And, I'm all about ownership. Ownership is literally everything. Like, just finding ways to own your stuff and get copies of your stuff and use it. So, like, listen, my goal is always to treat everything in a very 360 way, and look at everything. Obviously getting press on TV is not necessarily something I cover very much in the program. There is a press module where we talk a little bit about PR, but I will always give you advice on, okay, this thing happened in my life. I'm like, oh, okay, great. This is what you got to do about it. That's generally my response to everything. And that's the goal. This is why this gives me a lot of joy. So it's great to see every single person's come up. All right. So I would say, I think you guys may have already answered this question. My next question was going to be, how has being part of the Planners Who Profit Accelerator helped you grow your business and grow as a business owner? You can feel free to pass if you've already said everything, because we have talked a lot about that. You can feel free to pass on that if you'd like, or if there's anything else you want to add, you can go ahead and add that.
Actually, there's one thing I want to add. How being a part of PWP has helped me grow my business is, again, before I joined the program, I just used to focus on the event planning side. My client has to be happy, everything has to go smoothly. I need to be sure that everything is covered and everything. I was never interested in the business part, which is I make money and then I spend money to buy something. I buy gas because I need to go to view a venue and stuff like that. I never paid attention to the money part. So even though in the past I was planning maybe 2 or 3 events in a year, by the end of the year there was nothing to say this is what I made. So, but how PWP has helped me is, like the last time Faye and I spoke, she actually took her time to help me create my Excel sheet. And that has helped me to be able to keep tab on what I make and what I spend. So now it's not just about planning the event or getting client that I'm planning the event. It's also about making sure that whatever I make and whatever I spend is accounted for. So when it's time to file my taxes with my business, I have something to present. I'm not just thinking, oh, I think I made $2,000 from my business, you know? So that's one way that it has helped me. Another mindset that PWP gave me was paying taxes through your business actually means that you are making money from it. Before I joined PWP, I used to not want to pay taxes from my business. But the kind of mindset that I have gained from being a part of this program shows that when I pay taxes, it actually means I'm making money. So that's how it has helped me.
Mm-hmm. Yep. If you make a deficit, then the IRS gives you money back, which may feel good in the moment. But if you made money, you made more than whatever they were going to give you back, right? Because the IRS only takes a percentage of what you make. So it's like you have to lose a lot for them to give you a little, and you have to make a lot for them to take a little. That's the best way I could put it. So yes, paying taxes it's not an evil thing. If you think so, go to countries where they don't take taxes, and then come back and come talk to me about quality of life there. But yeah, that's just it just kind of is what it is, right? And of course, you can always talk to a tax advisor about more. I'm not a tax advisor, but that's just more of just like a high level shift. I think a lot of people feel like, oh, I'm just going to use this I'm going to use my business as a tax write-off, which is something you can do. But if you actually make money, it's not going to be a tax write-off unless you give unless you give like equal amounts of money that you made, like away to a charity or something. Like it's just not, which is a good thing. You know, I give to charities. It helps me with my taxes too. But I do that because I want to, not because the purpose of my business is to be a tax write-off. So that's great. So Faith, did you have anything to add, or did you want to pass on this?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, you know, there's this saying that recently received of creators get results. And I feel that the program helps with creating, helps give you like actionable tasks that you can do to actually like get the results that you want. So that was really big for me, and that was important for me because I feel like sometimes when it comes to different programs, it can be fluff or it just be an overwhelm of information, and you're like, okay, how am I going to get through all of this, or is this what I need or want? So, you know, if you were to join the program, it's really important to have a strategy for yourself, but to knowing that there's actionable steps based off what, you know, she shared today. And then obviously within the program, that was really important for me. And so that was the biggest takeaway. One of the biggest takeaway outside of some of the great things that we shared already. Also community. It's been nice to actually have like that Facebook group to like welcome new people in, get people excited about their wedding weekend or about, you know, a lot of the things that they're working on, and getting feedback. So, you know, it helps kind of like having a soundboard as far as like, okay, this is what I'm thinking. What do you all are thinking, and what would you all suggest? So I think that was the biggest thing for me. It's just like actionable steps, and that community was another big piece for me.
Yeah. I love the community. I love, you know, always having that network of planners. If for any reason, you know, let's say someone comes to Idella and they're like, oh, I'm planning a wedding in Minneapolis, and you know, do you do weddings out there in Idella? And I'd be like, you know what, either I'm not available that weekend, or I'm not really ready to travel, or whatever the case. It's like, oh, but I know somebody, right? Like you could work with Faith, like someone I know and I can vouch for her. Or similarly, if for any reason either of you are in each other's states, right, and you're doing destination events, you can call each other to support each other, right? That's something that photographers do all the time. Most photographers, second shooters are people who own their own companies, right? We can support each other too and build each other's businesses. Like there's just so much that comes from this community, and it doesn't die. Like you connect with the people that you want to connect with and become Facebook friends with them, and then you just always have this bond of, okay, we both have the same understanding of business. We have the same understanding of how we're going to work with our clients. So it makes it easier to find synergies and to brainstorm on things and be on the same page, which is something that, you know, for me, when I was alluding to earlier with people being on these Facebook groups with like 5,000, 10,000, you know, wedding planners, everybody's coming from different places. One person says you should go north. The other person says go south. The other person says go east. One other person says go west. And there's no context There's no context. You don't know if the person who's giving you advice is making $1,000 in their business this year or $100,000 in their business this year. Everybody's just saying, do this, or I would do this. I don't know you. So I don't know if I want to do what you would do or not, And a lot of times, the truth of the matter is that sometimes less is more, especially when it comes to information. Watching 100 YouTube videos may not necessarily help you, because watching 100 YouTube videos is probably going to give you at least 50 different directions that you could go in. And then you have to still sit there and figure out, first of all, which ones you remember, and then also which way you're going to go from there, versus being like, okay, this is one bus. The destination is here. This is the the outcome I'm going towards, and knowing that everybody else on the bus is going in the same direction. So everybody who's giving you advice is giving you advice because we want in the same direction. That is the value of being in a smaller cohort like this, that's focused, where everybody's focused on the same thing, And so that's like, I love that about this community and everything. So, okay, so I have one more question that I'm gonna ask you guys for any parting thoughts. What advice would each of you give to someone who feels stuck in their business and wants to grow their business? So what advice would you give to them?
I can go. My advice would be to get a coach because it's really important to have additional eyes on your business and just to give you advice. So that additional support is also helpful, just to kind of different perspective. And a lot of times they've been through what you have and can share like real life examples of what they've done in the past. So that's really important. I will also say, make the investment. When you're asking couples to pay however amount they're paying for you to help them with their wedding day, because believe it or not, you're supporting them, you're coaching them through their wedding experience, because you want to make sure that it's smooth, streamlined. At least for me, that's my goal, is just so that they have a really great process and enjoy their engagement. And so for me, investment, if I'm asking my couples to pay what the rates that I'm requiring from them, I need to be able to invest in my business and do the same. And then also it helps with that experience of knowing, okay, how did it feel to actually make that payment or that drop that investment? Yeah. How does it feel as far as in my business when they do that, when the couples do that, what process, is, what process is being followed? Is there something I could do based off me doing this investment? What does this look like on their end, given that I've made this investment and I'm being shared with this or that? So all that to say, it's really important to, get a coach, make that investment and strategize. So regardless if you, if you decide to get a coach or not, but the support is great, you want to have a strategy, have goals as far as like what you want from your business. Just like Faye shared earlier about visualization and your mindset, make sure that you're actually like setting those goals and knowing like, okay, in a year from now, this is what I want. And 2 months from now, each quarter, these are the goals that I want to hit. It's really important to think of all of those things when it comes to just growing yourself, growing your business.
Yeah. No, I think that's phenomenal. Definitely on strategizing, right? Getting a strategy, moving forward. And I think that definitely, I agree with getting a coach. I love coaching people, and I love a big part of that is that giving you some of the strategy and then also reinforcing the things that maybe you thought of and maybe tweaking them or helping you to see like, yeah, no, that's the right path, right? Because a lot of times what stops people from moving forward on whatever you strategize on is you're not sure if it's right. You're not sure if you should do it, you're doubting yourself and all that. So sometimes it's having someone say, okay, that's really great, let's change this one thing, or being like, nope, just do it, is very helpful. Or saying, oh, these are some pitfalls, let's try this whole different thing, is really helpful. But strategy is everything. It's everything, right? Even there's a saying that says, shoot for the stars, because you might fall on the moon, right? Or is it shoot for the moon, you might fall on the stars? It's one of those two. But whichever one, it's all about shooting high so that you fall on, even if you miss, you'll fall on something that's up. If you're not shooting for anything, you're probably going to stay where you are, right? So at a certain point, you have to come up with a strategy. And that's why the visualization exercises are not about 10 years from now, because everybody can visualize 10 years from now, right? Everybody can say, oh yeah, in 10 years, yeah, I'm gonna be David Terra, I'm gonna be charging 20,000 a wedding, I'm gonna be on TV. Anybody can say that. But to get there, you have to make steps every year for 10 years. You can't be in the same place and then year 9 decide you're gonna go from $500 to 20,000. It's gonna be a little rough. So at a certain point, you have to really be able to visualize, what am I going to do next year? And knowing that you have to do it next year will force you to get started now, right? Break it down into chunks and get started now. And I love that. I love that as a piece of advice. And that's even the reason to get a coach, right? To help you with the strategy, building the strategy for you, guiding you through it. And then by the time you leave the program, you're like, you got it and you're ready to fly and move forward with what you got. So I love that advice. That's perfect. So Adela, what thoughts do you have about what would you say to someone who's stuck and doesn't know what to do, but they want to grow their business?
So it's looking at you like, why haven't you joined Planners with Profit? What are you doing? Hello. So my first thing is definitely you gotta join PWP. I'm telling you, and I think I'm saying that because this is not the first time that I'm getting a coach. But this is the first time that I am getting a coach that is actually interested in my growth. Again, not to blow face on or anything like that, but this is the first time that I am getting quality for my time and my money. Faye is interested in your growth. So yes, get a coach, but bruh, get Faye. She will change your life. Period. So yeah, that's one. And like Faith said, you have to spend money to make money. If you're not willing to put money in your business, what are you doing? It's not going to grow. And you need to be ready to do the work. I remember Faye posted something on her Instagram page recently about 3 different kind of students. The ones who come, they take notes, and they don't do nothing. And then the ones who are, I too know, they do today. Oh, I already know that. But then there's no result. And there are people that comes to class, pays attention, and then do the work. You need to, when you eventually get that coach, you need to be ready to do the work. You need to be ready to invest the time. I think it was Faye, I can't remember who I was telling. But when people used to tell me, if you're running a business, you don't have time for TV, I used to think they were exaggerating. But sometimes there are days that I would remember, oh my God, I haven't turned on my TV and it's already 10 p.m. Because I am focused on growing my business. So you need to be ready to put in the work and go the extra mile. So if you're listening to this, PWP is the way, no joke. And that's on period. Join PWP and yeah, just be ready to do the work. Be committed, be teachable. I think one of the reasons why I am also growing is because I listen to whatever I hear and I apply it. I don't come and say, oh, I've been planning an event for 5 years now. What does Faye know about my business? No. So you need to be teachable as well. Because if you feel like I already know that or I already did this, then what's the point? So it's get you a Faye in your life because you need that. And then be ready to spend the money and be ready to do the work. It takes work. I know one of the things that Faye keeps saying is you don't just come from $500 to $20,000. You need to invest your time. You need to invest your energy. You need to strategize, like Faith said. So that's it. Remember, PWP. I tell you, seriously, that's the way. That's the way.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Adela. That's great. As you could tell, we have a good time together. And I did not, there was no prep for this or whatever. And I only asked one question about the program, y'all. So if y'all want to watch the replay, go watch the replay. I only had one question about the program. But they just chose to speak about parts of the program that helped them to accomplish everything in the program. And I'm very grateful for that. Honestly, you guys have been phenomenal on the program. On the panel today. like I said before, the reason I asked you guys to join is because you were already excellent planners before you joined the program. That's why, you're accepted to the program. That's why, everything. And then also just saying the way you each implemented parts of the program to your business, because you were in different phases of business at the time that you joined, I think is very interesting because it speaks to different people in different seasons of business. And I think that's amazing. And also, like I said, I think you guys are phenomenal at what you do. Ideala, obviously, since everybody's booking you in New Jersey, you're everybody's wedding planner now. You've got all the clients. And then also we have Faith, who is, she's finding those, she's finding those clients with the, who are willing to spend very high 4-figure and possibly 5-figure investments in a wedding planner. That's where you're at now. And so for people to be able to see that it's possible and that this growth path is possible, like that's major. And that's why I asked you guys to be here. And I definitely appreciate it. I love being part of your growth. I don't take all of the credit. As Ideala said, you guys did do the work, and there was also stuff, you guys had already done certain things before joining, planning events, Faith had already done her branding and certain things. But just seeing how everything came together to work is excellent. So I just wanted to say thanks so much for being part of the panel. Thanks for being so open and honest and for sharing. It's been phenomenal. It's always great to see you ladies. And of course, today's Wednesday, so I'll see you again tomorrow in our coaching call. But yes, this has been really great. Thanks so much for pouring out to other people like you always do. And this is great. I can't wait. I'll let you know in the, I'll put it up on the replay so you guys can see how good you did later on. But thanks so much. This has been a great way to kind of, we have one last thing to end the day. It's only going to take 15 minutes. And you guys have been phenomenal at like kind of wrapping up the majority of the content. So thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity. Bye.
No problem. All right. They did such a good job. Thanks so much for everybody in the comments. Thanks for the words of encouragement. Like y'all, man, next time I think I might just do an event that's just like nothing but a panel, because y'all were a lot more talkative during that one, which I love to see. All right. So let's get into it. I'm gonna go ahead and share in just one moment as we close out the very last thing for today. All right. So y'all know I like my little Google slides, so we're gonna hop into it. We're gonna talk about your next steps, what to do from here, because we are at the end of today's workshop. We've been going since 10 a.m. So this was 6 hours. We did have some breaks built in there, so it was probably about 3.5, 4 hours total. But it's been so phenomenal having you guys on. Thanks for your patience. Thanks for setting aside the time. Like, this has been amazing. And now it's time to talk about the next step. So like I said, today was amazing. I just want to be clear, it was a phenomenal day. And we talked about a few things today, right? We talked about how to build profitable wedding planning packages. We talked about some common pitfalls to avoid, many of them, many common pitfalls to avoid. I hope you have notes of pitfalls to avoid when it comes to pricing, when it comes to overspending, like all kinds of things. I hope that you took notes on those so you can kind of avoid them. The whole purpose of education and everything, so that you can do things better, right, than you would have done if you did it on your own. So you have that information. We also visualized our new selves, right? We visualized who we are going to be, right, next year. And of course, the panel that you just heard, hopefully solidified that for you, that change is possible. You can see both of these ladies made a big change in their business within 2 months. So talk to us of what you could do in a year if you actually do the work, right? And especially, do the work now so that you get the clients now who are getting married next year, and your whole brand, your whole image, your whole everything changes, right? So that's the goal for you to, I would say, over the next few months, your goal really should be about booking as many 2022 clients that are solid, that serve that 2022 version of your business, so that when you get to 2022, you already have them and you're like, oh, I can't wait to show y'all what I have in my sleeves, right? That's the goal. Now, I do want to emphasize that, like you guys all know, I run Planners Who Profit Accelerator. It's a 6-month accelerator. So obviously, in one day, I did not tell you everything that happens, right? Today, I only shared 20% of the puzzle, but the remainder is shared in the private VIP training, which you can find on plannerswhoprofit.com, right? So I have a quick question. What's next for you, right? Now that you've attended this, hopefully you have notes. Hopefully you may even watch the replay a couple of times, right? But my question is, what is next? You have 3 choices. first thing, got to do my SpongeBob reference because I'm goofy and I like it. But the first thing you could do is nothing, right? You could just be like, oh, that was nice. It was good information. Yeah, it was real good. It was good information. Yeah. Shout outs to her, good info, and do nothing. It's an option. And this is honestly an option that many people take, right? It's not an option that people who grow their business consistently take, but it's something that many people do. By the way, I don't recommend doing this. I don't recommend doing nothing. So I hope nobody here leaves here and does absolutely nothing. The next thing you can do is try to implement on your own. Say, you know what? I think I got it. Let me build my pricing structures. Let me figure out how to position myself on my own. That is also an option. And just let me try to build this business on my own. That's the second option that you have. It is available, right? The third option is to get support, right? You get help along the way as you're making decisions. Like this is another option that you have available for you, right? As we heard in the panel, they both recommend that you get support along the way. We also had a few people in the comments like, yeah, get the support. But this is probably my recommended approach is to getting support, right? So I just want to remind you that this is the last chance to sign up for the VIP training, right? I'll be sharing more on how to implement this, what we talked about today. I'll be sharing the other 80% of the pie, right? If you're trying to build that profitable business. And I'll also be showing you how to get support, ongoing support in your business as well, right? Giving you the tea. I know there was a lot of references tossed out today, but if you want to understand, okay, I heard some stuff about 6 months. I heard some stuff about a call. I heard some stuff about some videos. Like, I don't understand how this works together. That's also something that we'll be talking about, right? How that support works. But before we get to the support, there is a whole training with very valuable information that I want you to watch, right? So what you're going to learn is number one, my signature 4-step framework for building a profitable wedding planning business. You're going to learn the whole framework, exactly what I teach, okay? You're going to learn it if you join and watch this training. The second thing is that you're going to get to see case studies from real people who have applied the framework and seen results. Obviously, you already heard two case studies today, but there are additional ones that you get to see and really like see in depth during the training. You also get to learn more about how you can work with us to build your own processes and your own systems in your own business, right? You get all of this if you join, if you sign up today to apply to watch the training. Now, as a reminder, this private training is the only time I share this framework. I will never do a paid class where I talk about this framework. I will never do a free class where I give you the info on the framework. I will never do a printable where I give away the framework, nothing. The only way to get access to learn what the framework is to apply to the training. And once you're accepted, you have instant access to watch the training video, all right? The training alone is very valuable. I'm not gonna lie, I've been told a number of times that I should sell it for a few $100s, or this should be like a $99 course or $150 course, but I don't wanna do it. Like, it's something I wanna give away for free. It's something I've always given away for free. Well, not always, but it's something that I give away for free. It's something that, people had access to after our last virtual event, and you also have access to it after this virtual event for free, right? So that's just where I'm at with that. So this is your extra bonus. I want you to claim it. And so your next step is simple. The next step is to implement. That's all that's left to do. You've learned a lot. Now it's time to implement so that you actually get the results. You will not get the results by thinking about it, by praying about it, with doing nothing. And the Bible says faith without works is dead, right? You will not get the works by just thinking about it, not just by praying about it, not just by watching other people who are getting results. You have to implement for yourself to get results in your business. That's the only way. So I want to remind you to apply to attend the VIP day to learn more about how to implement and also how to work with us through your next steps, right? And have that support as you're working through your next steps. So at this point, I want to invite you guys to share any final questions that you have for me about anything, about the panel, anything about any of the trainings we went through today, questions about the program, questions about the VIP day, right? I'm going to drop the link here. But I'm inviting any questions before we wrap up. Anyone? All right, and if there are no questions, I would like to hear, and actually if there are questions, please keep typing them. We have like 3 more minutes. I promised I was going to get y'all out here before 4, so that's the goal. But I would look forward to seeing your questions. For those who are watching the replay, don't forget, okay, you get to toss your questions in the Facebook group. There'll be a thread where you can drop your questions, and I'll be sure to answer them. But in addition, I would like to know what was the best part of the training of today, right? Like, was it? What was the biggest, the thing that made the biggest difference for you today? Was it pricing? Was it the positioning? Was it understanding profit? Those are the 3 P's, by the way. Was it the panel? Which of these was the most impactful for you today? I'd love to see it in the chat. I'd love to see it in the chat. I just want to hear it. What was helpful? Okay, the pricing part was the best part. Okay, great. Thank you, Danielle, for sharing that. Anyone else want to share what was the best part, the most impactful part from today's training? Please drop it in the chat. If you want to share a little bit more, I'm more than happy to pull you on for a little bit of audio. Just mention in the chat if you're willing to chat on audio. But yeah, just let me know what was the most impactful part, and then also, of course, let me know if you have any questions. This is your final chance to get a little free coaching. Well, not free, but a little significantly discounted coaching from me by just getting your questions answered. All right. So far, it seems like the best part for the day has been centered around the pricing module. So that's great, right? This was the whole point, 3 P's of building profitable wedding planning packages. So I'm so happy that the pricing workshop helped you guys with figuring out pricing and what to charge and what's normal, what's not, why it should be charged at that rate. I think the pricing and the profit go hand in hand, because you might initially be nervous about charging $5,000 for your services until you see what your profit margin is when you charge that. So I'm really hoping that this made like a big indent in your mind so that everybody's on the same page about why you're charging what you're charging for your business. I want to give you guys a final thank you. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you so much for, sticking through for a whole 6 hours. For those of you guys who are part of the Replay Club, shout outs to you. Like, I'm so excited to hear your questions and your feedback and all that good stuff. Like, this has been phenomenal. And I just know that if you implement this, that if you really take this in, that it's going to transform your business. You'll stop being frustrated with your clients for not paying you enough. You'll stop, you'll take charge when you're pricing your packages versus letting your clients tell you what it costs or letting your clients tell you what they need when they don't know, right? This puts you in the driver's seat. It makes you the leader versus the assistant. So I'm so excited for you. I'm excited for your businesses. I always pray about every single person who takes any of my programs. Like, literally, you have a sticker on my wall. You probably saw it already. And that's like my wall. I look at it, I pray over it, like, y'all are my people. So I'm looking forward to growth for you guys. And I'm also looking forward to welcoming many of you to the Planners with Profit program. I want to see y'all in there. I want to get to know you more and work more closely with you on a little bit of, deeper business growth as we go along. So on that note, I think it may actually be time to wrap up. I can't believe it. I can't believe that it's already time, that we've already reached that time of the day. But yeah, it was phenomenal having you guys here. And I'm just really excited. I'm excited about every single person here's growth. I'm excited about, that's where you're going. So 1 second, I'm going to, I'm gonna find a song that I love to play whenever I'm about to coach. I don't know. It's just something that I like to hear. Sorry guys, I did mute real quick. Trying to play DJ YouTube, but this is like one of my favorite songs. I don't know why. It just gets me hype. I hope you can hear it.
Okay. Hello, mother. Hey, how you doing? It's Weezy F, baby. Come to take a staring on the toilet bowl. Stomping on this beat like a mother. Take my bag to the bristle. Hat to the whistle. I'm so official. All I need is a whistle. Name Crystal. That pistol. She up and up. I'm out and then I'm out. You ain't better like me. You probably never will. Riders rolling with me like 11 wheels. Find out where you living. Hear you in the kitchen. The fans trying to clip us, but we ain't even trip. I'm going in. I'm going in. I'm going in. I'm going in. And I'ma go hard. And I'ma go hard. And I'ma go hard. And I'ma go hard. I'm going in. I'm going in. I'm going in. I'm going in. And I'ma go hard. And I'ma go hard. And I'ma go hard. And I'ma go hard. First off, you know what it is.
All right. I know that was corny, but this is my song, so I was like, let me go ahead and play it. Y'all, we've made it. We made it to the end of today's session. I'm so excited that you guys are here. I hope to see just about all of you guys in the VIP training. But till then, this is goodbye. Okay, well, we can chat more in the Facebook group. Everybody should have access to that. If you don't, it's facebook.com/group/coach by Faye Shola. I will be sending that by email for anyone who doesn't have it, but we'll be going from there. So thanks so much, guys, for being part of this, and have a phenomenal rest of your week. All right, enjoy your evening.